welcome in to another episode of Get Defensive Sports Network's I-80 Football Show. We are recording. We are also live. As always, I'm your host, Jordan. I'm here with my co-host, Dante.
What's good, man?
Chilling. It's been a long day. Not necessarily a bad day, like not a long day like it's bad, just like it's been a long day.
No,
You know how that be. How are you?
I do. I'm good. I'm good. I got some sunlight, so that was pretty nice. First time, probably. I think like all summer. Well, it was pretty good. But other than that,
You ain't going outside?
no, I've been outside, but like to specifically just get sun.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, like, what are you doing? What do you mean you ain't got no sunlight this summer?
No, I've been outside. I've definitely been outside. That's fine.
Okay, like if you got something to worry about, you like,
Nah, I
yeah,
ain't.
that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So we're here, another episode. It's still preview season. We are in our third of four preview episodes, previewing the Big Ten at this exact moment, the best conference in college football. Unlike SEC fans, we do believe that that can change. So maybe we won't be the best conference next year. But as of now, we're operating as the best conference in college football with the back-to-back national champions and multiple teams who are predicted to compete this year for national championships. So this week, because we don't have news, there's no traffic update. The road's clear. No cops are out. There's no traffic. There's no backup. Nobody's rubbernecking. Like we speeding.
Nobody's
We doing whatever.
rubbernecking.
We just on the road. It's a long stretch. We just on the road. So we just gonna get into our preview because there's no point in wasting time if there ain't nothing to talk about. This week we are previewing our sort of dark horse contenders, right? When we broke down the show, on top of the fact that there's 18 teams, you got to figure out how to break it down. And these are the teams that either we feel like, or based on that we feel like they're dark horses, or based on their schedule they're dark horses, or even a couple of them like national media is higher on than we are, but it sort of raises their tier above the two tiers that we previously did, which was our bowl eligible tier and our bottom feeders. So these are not bottom feeders, these are teams 8, 9, 10 wins. One of these teams, if my prediction is correct, one of these teams is going to make the playoffs because I think the Big Ten is going to get four teams in the playoff again. So there are three teams remaining in our next tier. If the Big Ten gets four again, one of these teams will make the playoffs. So these are good teams. We're finally talking about good teams. But, you know, who knows where they're going to end up is our dark horse tier. Also, could be called our upset tier because some of these teams are definitely have the chance to ruin someone's season. Like one of those top contenders, they have a chance to ruin one of their seasons. So yeah, you want to get into it?
Yeah, we can get into it.
So this week we're talking Illinois, Indiana, Washington, Michigan, and Nebraska. For the nature of it's just how we got here. We're gonna start with Michigan, especially because Michigan, in my opinion, could have been on this show or the next show. Michigan's a little bit weird.
I would say previous show, not the next
Yeah.
show.
Oh, sorry. Previous show. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah,
not the next show.
yeah, yeah. No.
They could have been on the previous show,
Yeah,
but we put them here. So, Michigan is coming off of a disappointing season, but a season that saw them beat their rival Ohio State and saw them smack up Alabama in a bowl game. So depending on who you ask, there is the potential for some excitement. They are losing a lot. This is Sharon Moore, head coach Sharon Moore's second season. So you hope that he's better. But there's a lot of questions about Michigan, which I think is interesting because there's a lot of people in the national media who's talking about Michigan as like a playoff contender.
yeah. That's a little weird.
And the only way I can see that is because of their schedule, which is fairly easy. Like
Mm-hmm.
they could very easily go 10-2, and if they go 10-2, then they are technically a playoff contender. I just don't think they're going
So
to go 10-2 because I don't think they're that good.
my thing
And
is, if that was the case, when they should be getting the same kind of flack Indiana was getting last year. Then.
so they won't because Oklahoma's on the schedule, but I think that's propped up.
Oklahoma
Indiana
and
didn't even
Ohio
have
State.
a yeah, right. Indiana played Ohio State last year and lost. If
Yeah.
Michigan loses to Ohio State, but Indiana didn't have an Oklahoma to help sort of boost the schedule. So
Okay.
yeah, Michigan is in an interesting spot. Some people think they're going to make the playoffs. Others think they're going to be a bad team. I'm somewhere in the middle. I like talking about Michigan here because we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about their incoming quarterback, who is expected to start. He's a freshman, and sort of what are realistic expectations for a freshman quarterback. Because I think to think Michigan is going to be in the playoffs, you're expecting this freshman to be very, very good immediately, and that just doesn't typically happen. So, since we brought it up, let's just talk about the freshmen, right? Let's just do that first. Let's do that first, and then
All right.
we'll go. So, Michigan had JJ McCarthy, former 5 star, was decent for them, got drafted in the first round. And then last year, they just had a mess. They were not prepared to lose
Right.
JJ. They had Davis Warren start for a couple of games. Alex Orgy started for a couple of games, and he's a running back. Jack Tuttle started for a game or two, and then Warren came back in, and they just were not a good offense. They had a horrible quarterback. They just weren't prepared for the quarterback at all. So this year, I think, off of I don't know where it came from. I'm not going to pretend that I know where it came from. Something happened. Someone was inspired to spend money at Michigan. Some of their boosters were inspired to donate money. And so,
Had to be.
because of that, they went and essentially stole a quarterback from LSU. And I use air quotes around stole because he's from Michigan. He was just expected to leave Michigan and go to LSU. And basically, they came in with a crazy NIL offer. Don't know what it is, don't care because we don't count pockets on this show. But they gave him basically an NIL offer that he could not turn down. Also, similarly to Dylan Rayola, I think they also did the thing where it's like, if you go to LSU, you're gonna have to sit for a year. Whereas if you come here, you're gonna have to start. You can start immediately. Dylan Rayola was supposed to go to Georgia last year. If Dylan Rayola went to Georgia, he would have sat for a year, and this year would have been his first year starting. Instead, he went to Nebraska and started immediately. So I think between the starting immediately and whatever that NIL deal was, Bryce Underwood decided to go to Michigan, and he is their presumed starter. They also did sign Fresno State's Mikey Keene. He missed the spring, but they signed him, and it's depending on who you ask, it's questionable on how much of a quarterback battle it is. We don't. I'm not going to pretend to have insight on if this is a real battle or not. I imagine if you're asking me, I think that the 5 star quarterback's probably going to start over the super
Yeah.
senior. But if he's not ready, he's not ready. So I guess the question with this becomes, right, what do you think are realistic expectations for any freshman quarterback? Not even just this freshman quarterback, but just any freshman quarterback.
Um, if the team is set up for him to come in and play, I can eight wins isn't too bad. What did Dylan Raiola do last year? Six.
Yeah. So I don't mean the team. I mean like his performance.
Oh, I mean, a young freshman, probably a few turnovers, touchdowns and turnover numbers are probably going to be around equal. Usually that happens. Maybe like 2,000 yards, something like that. Maybe something like that. I think he'll have a good season. Michigan has a pretty easy schedule and they have a pretty good defense. So I could see him having a freshman year, which would be like probably 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 2,000 some yards.
Did you just guess that number? Did you just say that number off the cuff? Are you looking at something?
No, I just said that off the cuff.
Funny. That's perfect because do you know what Dylan Raiola did last year?
13 touchdowns and 11 interceptions.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you knew that.
I knew that, but it was like it's still off the cuff because it was like that's probably I think there's like a few other freshmen that did right around the same.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So I think that so Dylan Raiola threw for 2,800 yards, 13 interceptions, 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He completed 67% of his passes.
I
Another
think he might
freshman.
have maybe less interceptions because I think they're going to run the ball a lot more.
I could see that for
Yeah.
sure. Another freshman quarterback who played 12 games, DJ Lagway at Florida. He threw for 1,900 yards, 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions on a 59% completion percentage.
I will give
And
him.
then
I'll give him 60.
and then I will give you one more. If I can spell. Aiden Childs. And
Oh yeah.
DJ Lagway was the starting quarterback at Florida. Obviously, Dylan Raiola was starting quarterback at. Why is this not coming up? Is that not his name? Not they don't have Aiden Childs stats. DJ. There we go. DJ Lagway, starting quarterback at Florida. Aiden Childs was starting quarterback at Michigan State. He is not technically a freshman, but this was his first year starting. He's only a true sophomore. And he threw for 2,400 yards, the magic number, 13 touchdowns and 11 interceptions at 59% completion percentage. So to go back to Dylan Raiola, because he's the comparison that I sort of want to keep, even though all of these were 5-star quarterbacks, by the way, which is why I'm grouping them together. DJ Lagway, Dylan Raiola, and Aiden Childs were all five-star quarterbacks. All started pretty early. Dylan Raiola had the best season of all of them regarding like pure statistics, so we'll just stay on him so we don't have to keep going back and forth. And he's in the conference. I mean, so is Aiden Childs, but he's going to play against the same teams as Bryce Underwood and so on and so forth. So let's just look at the numbers very quickly. Over under 67% completion.
67.
Yeah, that's what Dylan
Um,
had.
oh, under,
Over under 2,800 yards.
under,
Over under or push 13 touchdowns.
push,
Over under or push 11 interceptions.
under.
Under. Okay. So and I'll save the Dylan Raiola stuff more in depth for Nebraska, who we'll do next. The problem that I have with the Bryce Underwood thing, right, and this expecting Michigan to be a playoff team and all of this other stuff is that Dylan Raiola had a pretty solid freshman year, and going into this year, his second year as a starter, people nationally are treating him like he's chopped liver. They're treating him like he has failed. They're treating him like he didn't live up to the 5-star billing. And as the 3 quarterbacks that we looked at, 2 other 5-stars, he had the best season. He had he was tied for the most touchdowns, similar number of interceptions. He had the most yards by 400. He had by far 8% better completion percentage, and he threw more than all of them. So he was just legitimately straight up a more accurate passer. He had more attempts. So I just think that what is if we, and not we, because we do not, me and you don't feel this way, if people are looking at Dylan Raiola's season and out of context and just forgetting that he's there, he's not on any of these top quarterback things, he's not on any Big Ten like freshman like All-American sort of things, all Big Ten players, he's on no list. You would forget, like you would like you could easily forget that Dylan Raiola even plays football the way that they're not talking about him.
Oh.
What is the likelihood that Bryce Underwood has a better season than Dylan?
Um, it would probably be around the same. The likely it would have to be truly a perfect situation. Like it would have to fit perfectly just out of the blue. and the running game keeps him not having to throw the ball much. But then it can end up being like a surprise or something when he does throw the ball, and he could have big plays and things like that off of play action and stuff like that, because that can help a young quarterback, whether it's a freshman or a rookie or whatever. But that's a tough ask from a team that's bringing in a lot of new players through the transfer portal and things like that. Like, and a second year coach at that, who I don't know if he's good or not yet.
Yeah, I think I agree with that 100%, which is why I think that they're interesting, that there's so much hype around them, but they have so many questions. Like, I think Michigan is still, if this coach is good, which we don't know, if this coach is good, I think they're still a year or two away. I think that their schedule is going to sort of bloat their numbers. So to go into it a little bit, Michigan is losing. They didn't have a good quarterback, but they're losing. They're bringing in a new start at quarterback. They're losing both of their running backs, Donovan Edwards and Khalil Mullins. They have Justice Haynes, who is a transfer, and Jordan Marshall, who I think is a second year player that they're excited about, but people will say that Justice Haynes isn't unproven, but Justin Haynes hasn't been great in his college career, and Jordan Marshall is unproven. On the offensive line, so last year, in 2024, they sent 6 guys pro on the offensive line. And last year, they fell all the way to 107 in O-line run push and 49th in pass protection. And despite those being bad numbers, they also are losing 2 all Big Ten guards. All Big Ten players. They do return 3 starters, but they struggled, as we said, with this line. So they bring back 3 starters, but they're bringing back players who struggled and who did not live up to sort of the expectation of what Michigan's offensive line has been previously. And there's a chance that they have a true freshman starter who was a 5-star, but there's a chance they have a true freshman starter. As a receiver, they have a guy named Tyler Morris who transferred to. Their projected best receiver transferred to Indiana. And then they brought in
Yeah.
Donovan McCulley. They still have Samaj Morgan, but essentially they have no playmakers at the wide receiver for like the third or fourth year in a row. And they lost all Big Ten tight end who was a number 10th pick in the NFL draft, Colston Loveland. So when you look at the offense, really, on offense, the only returners that they have is 3 offensive linemen and Samaj Morgan at wide receiver.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for them to expect. If I don't know what they expect from the freshman quarterback if he does start. I don't know what they really expect from Michigan. They have a decent schedule, so they can pull off a bowl game again. But playoff team, I don't think so. I
Yeah,
know so. I know they're not.
I agree with that. On defense, they did have a pretty good defense last year, but that's also where all of their stars were on defense. They had Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Josiah Stewart on edge. All of them are gone. All 3 of them are gone. And they also had for half the season, and he was mailing it in, if we're going to be honest. And then he got injured. They had cornerback Will Johnson, who was also gone. At least, I don't remember where Josiah Stewart got drafted, but I'm fairly positive Kenneth Grant, I know for a fact Mason Graham, and were first round picks, and Will Johnson was picked in like the top 100. I don't exactly remember where he was. They do have a near 5-star in Derek Moore, who they're excited about on the defensive line, and they brought in 2 transfers, one from Clemson and one from Alabama, but they're essentially redoing their entire defensive line with transfers and players who haven't started with them. They
I think like 80. It sounds like 80% of their team is new.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I mean, yeah, let's see, on offense, I can tell you. On offense, they return 65% of their production, which that number seems high. And that's 41 first in the country. And on defense, they return 64%, and that's 22nd in the country. But those numbers also include like backups and things like that, of course. As
Okay.
far as their starters and their stars, they're almost all gone. Like they're losing almost all of their starters. They do have
That's good to know.
yeah, they do have a corner who's pretty good, Zeke Berry. But they also lost Makari Page and Quentin Johnston at safety. And they're going to be starting Rod Moore, but I believe Rod Moore is injured. The best news that they sort of have on defense, the only player that they really did, the only place that they didn't lose starters is linebacker, which they have really good linebackers.
Yeah, they
As
do.
someone that likes linebackers, I can't hate on their linebackers. And Ernest Hausman and Jay Sean
They led the team
Barham,
in tackling,
yeah,
respectively.
yep, they had 89 and 66 tackles. They returned. So that, I mean, that's huge. Linebackers are very underrated on defense. I say it all the
Single
time.
pillar
Like,
of the defense.
yeah, I say it all the time. Like, a great linebacker may not win you a game, but a bad linebacker will absolutely lose you a game.
Definitely can.
Like, yeah, I get it. Like the Colts had one of the best linebackers in the league last year. He broke the league record for tackles with like 179. Didn't help us win games, but if we didn't have him, we may have had the first or second pick. Which at that point, sit him down. We need the first or second pick. We need to stop. We need to start losing these games. But yeah, so essentially, Michigan is losing all of their stars. They're losing their top running backs. They both running backs. They lost their star tight end. They
They went
lost
in the transfer, or they went to the draft.
all these players went to the draft.
Draft. Okay, that's what I
Yep,
thought.
they lost to the best. You could argue maybe second with Texas, but in my opinion, the best uh, defensive tackle duo they've ever had, but in the country. They lose a really good edge rusher. They lose a star corner who was supposed to be a first round pick, but some injuries and some things happened, but he was still taken pretty high. And they lose two safeties. And they're giving the reins to a freshman quarterback. This does not say to me a playoff team. I don't know about you, but this tells like if their
Nah,
schedule
it's
was
not a playoff
harder,
team.
if their schedule was harder, I think this team would
6 and
struggle.
6.
Yeah, like that's what I would say. But I do think they have a pretty easy schedule, which is going to help them and which is going to be huge for the freshman
They can
quarterback.
still go 6 and 6 for real.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Do you have any other thoughts on Michigan?